Welcome to this explainer. I am so glad you're here. If you're tuning in, you probably want to know how to navigate one of the absolute most stressful things a homeowner can face, handling a complicated insurance claim after a major storm. Today, we've got a comprehensive guide for you, how to file a homeowner's insurance claim for roof damage step by step. We're going to take that confusing maze of policy jargon and turn it into a clear, actionable playbook so you can protect your property and, of course, your wallet. Seriously, imagine waking up to find your roof damaged after a storm. What comes next can determine the security of your home and your wallet. That is the absolute reality of this situation. Those first 48 hours after a storm are critical. The choices you make right then can literally dictate whether you get a smooth settlement or get dragged into a grueling 6-month dispute with your insurance carrier. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. Understanding your policy, preparation, and first steps, filing and the inspection, the approval and repair process, and finally, handling denials and disputes. Let's start with Section 1, understanding your insurance policy. Because here's the golden rule. You've got to know what your policy actually covers before you ever pick up the phone. Before you file a claim, pull up your declarations page. You'll often hear it called the deck page. This tells you exactly how your insurance company values your roof, and there is a massive financial difference here. Do you have an ACV or an RCV policy? If you've got an RCV policy, replacement cost value, your carrier is actually obligated to pay today's current market prices for materials and labor without deducting for age. But if you have an ACV policy, actual cash value, they only pay the depreciated value. So if your shingles are 15 years into a 30-year lifespan, your payout could literally be cut in half. Knowing what you have right off the bat prevents some incredibly devastating financial surprises. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the cosmetic damage exclusion. Around 2015, a lot of carriers, especially in states that get a lot of hail, started adding this into the fine print. It essentially means that if a hailstorm batters your roof and leaves it covered in ugly dents, but the roof is technically still shedding water, the insurance company can legally deny your claim. They classify it as an aesthetic issue rather than functional damage. You absolutely need to check your policy endorsements to see if you accidentally accepted this exclusion just for a little premium discount. Moving right along to Section 2, preparation and first steps. The storm is past, the clock is ticking. What do you do in those first 24 hours? First and foremost, safety. Please do not become a casualty trying to prove an insurance claim. Stay off the wet roof. Do a ground assessment using binoculars or maybe a drone. Then document everything. Next, you have a legal duty to mitigate under your policy, which is just a fancy way of saying you have to prevent things from getting worse, like throwing a tarp over a hole so rain doesn't ruin your living room. And finally, before you even call the carrier, get a professional, licensed roofing contractor out there to do a thorough inspection. Your absolute best defense against an adjuster trying to minimize your claim is crisp, undeniable evidence. Your smartphone is your best tool right now. Make sure location services and timestamps are turned on. Remember, adjusters weren't there during the storm, so they need the full story. Don't just take close-ups. Take a wide shot of the whole house, a medium shot of the roof, and a tight close-up of the damage with a coin or tape measure next to it for scale. Document the hits outside, but also snap pictures of those freshwater rings on your ceiling inside. Volume matters here, guys. Take hundreds of photos. You can always delete the bad ones, but you literally cannot go back once that tarp is nailed down. So the crucial point is this delicate balancing act. You must mitigate the damage, but you cannot destroy evidence. If you buy emergency tarps or plywood, keep every single receipt, because most policies will actually reimburse you for those mitigation costs. However, do not throw away any blown-off shingles, torn gutters, or broken materials. That is the physical evidence of your loss. And whatever you do, do not authorize a contractor to start full permanent repairs before the insurance adjuster has evaluated things. If you jump the gun, you risk voiding your coverage entirely. All right, the property is stabilized and totally documented. Let's head into Section 3, filing and the inspection. When you finally call your insurance company to open the claim, you need to stick strictly to the facts. The intake rep on the phone is taking notes that goes straight into your file. If you use speculative language like, well, the roof was kind of getting old anyway, or I think the leak started a few months ago, they can instantly use that to deny your claim under a wear and tear exclusion. Keep it totally neutral and objective. A severe windstorm occurred on Tuesday, causing missing shingles on the north slope and water leaking into the living room. Stick to the facts, period. Once the claim is filed, the insurance company is going to send out an adjuster. Listen carefully here. You want your chosen roofing professional up on that roof at the exact same time as the insurance adjuster. The adjuster works for the insurance company. Your roofer works for you. A skilled contractor will point out those subtle functional damages that are super easy to miss, like soft decking beneath the shingles or dark bruises where hail fractured the fiberglass mat. Having them there just ensures you get a fair line-by-line evaluation. Which brings us to Section 4, Approval and Repair Process. The inspection is done, the carrier has made their decision, and now we talk about what happens next. One of the most hotly contested areas in insurance is partial repairs versus full replacements. By default, insurers want to pay for a partial repair, just patching up the bad spot. But a full replacement is often triggered if the damage covers more than about 25% of the roof surface. And this brilliantly illustrates how local matching laws come into play. If your specific shingle model is discontinued, contractors can send a sample to an ITL lab. If the lab proves it's unavailable, many state laws can actually force the insurer to pay for a full replacement just to maintain a reasonably uniform appearance. Now, if you have a replacement cost policy, you might be totally confused when your first check arrives, and it's way lower than your contractor's estimate. Don't panic, this is completely normal. Insurers split the payout. Step 1, they give you the actual cash value check up front, which has the depreciation subtracted. Step 2, you hire your contractor and get the work done. Step 3, you submit the final invoices to the insurance company to prove the job was actually completed. Only then do they release that second check, called recoverable depreciation, to cover the remaining balance. But what happens when things don't go smoothly? Welcome to our final section, handling denials and disputes. Insurance companies are stricter than ever these days, and sometimes they just flat out say no. Let's move on and see how this builds your defense by outlining the most common denial tactics and the exact evidence you need to overturn them. If the insurer tries to say the damage is just wear and tear, you counter it with an independent contractor's report showing sudden, localized storm impacts. If they claim the damage was pre-existing, you can actually use historical, date-stamped satellite imagery from Google Earth to prove your roof was in great condition before the storm. And if they say there was no verified storm, you just pull official, free weather data from NOAA that matches your exact date of loss. You fight their data with better data. Now, if you provide all this evidence and you're still just hitting a brick wall trying to negotiate the repair estimate, look into the appraisal clause in your policy. This is an incredibly powerful tool. It basically lets you hire your own independent appraiser, the insurance company hires theirs, and those two agree on a neutral third-party umpire. If the two appraisers disagree on the cost of the damage, the umpire makes the final binding decision. It is a fantastic way to force a fair valuation without having to drag the insurance company into a massive court battle. All of this brings us to the end of our journey and leaves you with this vital question. How will you proactively document and protect your home today so you are prepared for the storm tomorrow? Honestly, the absolute best time to prepare for an insurance claim is long before the clouds even start rolling in. Get an annual roof inspection. Take baseline photos of your property every single year so you have undeniable proof of its condition. Your home is one of your greatest investments, and taking these proactive steps is what secures your peace of mind and your financial health. Before we wrap up this explainer, please remember, this video is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial or legal advice. Please consult with a professional for advice pertaining to your specific situation. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope you feel empowered, educated, and ready to tackle whatever the weather throws your way. Until next time, stay curious and stay prepared.